Hey guys, BJTHEBRAVE here, back with some Warpforge content. The season has officially ended, and so we have just had the April 25 meta report data released. So let's take a look at what happened in April. Well, the first thing is they've actually touched on the fact that the Orcs were very, very powerful in the first season, and interestingly, they have said that they are releasing a balance patch very, very soon. And that will introduce some tweaks to tone down the dominance of the Orcs whilst keeping, and I quote, the new cards fun and relevant. So that's going to be really interesting. They don't usually nerf the brand new cards so quickly. And it will mean that a lot of people have just never had a chance to play with them as they were sort of advertised, because obviously the expansion's only just finished, and that means people have only just had a chance to use their wild cards. But nevertheless, what we did see last season, which was pretty good, is they got the balance update done right at the beginning of the season to try and minimize the impact on the ladder, listening to feedback from the community. However, I have seen a couple of people already closing on 3,500 in the new season with the Orcs, so there will be some people who have managed to push ahead. Anyway, let's dive into the data. As we can see, the Orcs have actually had a whopping 25% play rate. And that's phenomenal. That means that a quarter of all games being played involved Orcs, which is insane. But I suppose at the same time that does reflect what happens when you have a month-long expansion that's only based around one faction. You're going to see everybody playing that because that's how you unlock all the goodies. Now that said, we did still see a really high play rate from the Black Legion, which is always the case. They're always a very, very popular faction. And closely followed behind with the Dark Angels, and also good to see an uptake in the Sautek, aka Necrons, and that was obviously largely down to the buffs that they got in the last balance patch. So let's dive in and take a look. As you know, I do tend to focus more on the legendary division, so we can see here that at legendary rank the Orcs were very, very dominant indeed, closely followed by the Dark Angels, and then there was a slight gap, and then we started to see things like the Necrons and the Imperial Guard, or Astra Militarum, not far behind. Now in terms of the Warlord performance, I'm going to skip on to the legendary rank. We can see that the new Warlord Mozrag, just absolutely dominant. I did not have this Warlord all through the season. And trust me, I was feeling it because I knew he was like meta. Very, very powerful, the 40 health, and a very good, very flexible Warlord ability. So a cracking win rate there. That's very, very high, 69.7%. I'm thoroughly expecting a lot of nerfs to the Orcs, right? Because you look at Skagbag, Gazgul, we got Gordran coming in at 4th. I think even Zagstruck's pretty high, right? Didn't I see a high Zagstruck somewhere? Yeah, Boss Zagstruck is 54% normally. At Legendary might be a little bit lower. Where did he come in? At Legendary. I can't even see him at Legendary. Okay. I'm going blind, guys, but anyway, the point is that what the meta looked like was a lot of Orcs with a smidgen of Azrael and obviously Imperial Guard. What did Safa do? Safa came in at 57% at Legendary. That was one of the Warlords I chose to play, mainly just because I really enjoy that Warlord. But oh, there's Zagstruck there at 53.2%. So yeah, we can see that some of the Sisters of Battle really struggling, and the Tau as well. Really struggling at the bottom end of the legendary ranks. So overall, I think what we can denounce from this, if you like, is that Orcs very much sitting at the top of the meta with that whopping 56.89 overall win rate and 24% of the play rates. That's absolutely massive, real dominance in what you're going to be up against Orcs at 1 in 4. That's an awful lot. Definitely very dominant. Dark Angels punching above their weight still. Asmodai not doing bad, but obviously Azrael was just really putting in the work. Hasn't had too many nerfs since release. So despite not having any new cards this season, the Dark Angels were very, very strong. Very, very good choice. And the Necrons, good to see that they were a solid choice for many people with that. With the buffs that we got from the last balance patch coming in with a really hefty 54.24% win rate overall. And yeah, really good to see them in the meta again. Also, somewhat surprising was the Astra Militarum. I was quite surprised to see them come in quite as high as they did. But I do think the Astra Militarum have quite a good matchup into the Orcs. That's something to think about in case Orcs are very dominant this season. The other side of things, though, obviously we've got some. I think the Eldar and the Tau and Storitas and even the Tyrannies, really, certainly outside of Neurothrope, are really struggling. And even the Black Legion, with that whopping 12.6% play rate, were actually kind of underperforming, really, with a 49% overall win rate. As we said, with the top Warlords, really obvious that Mozrag and Ghazghkull are where it's at. Some standout performers, though, from Hector Thurman and Imatek and Ursula Creed, and Gordrang still doing very, very well. With the biggest liabilities mainly being the Tervagon and Galen and Harkon World Claimer, not surprisingly. Interestingly, when it comes to the draft mode, Asmodai is, I believe, yeah, Asmodai and Azrael. So the Dark Angels just like really, really dominant, with Imperial Guard actually being a really good choice for draft mode as well. So overall, what can we take away from this? Well, the main conclusion, of course, is that the Orcs reigned supreme last season, and that they were at an all-time high, thanks pretty much to that Beast Snaggers expansion. Definitely was expecting something to happen in the balance patch, and the devs have said that that is going to happen. Meanwhile, I think the Dark Angels continue to outperform and just doing really, really well, particularly with that teleport synergy with Azrael, just super predictable and very, very good synergies and very powerful. Necrons and Astra Militarum seem to be kind of in that sort of tier 1.5, if you like, just behind the top two, but doing very, very well. And I would say that the Black Legion, the Tau, the Eldar, the Sororitas, the Tyranids are all a little bit underperforming, and yeah, they could definitely do with a little bit of a buff in the balance patch. We'll see what the devs have got stored for them. Yep, but with that said, a massive welcome to Mozrog, the brand new Orc Warlord who dominated the meta. So that's it, guys. That is the meta report. We'll be back with the balance changes as and when we know them. See you soon. Take it easy.